we're obviously very light today for whatever reason. Did you start that, Phil? So first of all, the first thing we're gonna get off done and out of the way is the EpiPen training. But before we go there, make sure if you didn't sign in on your way in, make sure you sign in on your way out, and feel free to take one of those Langone water bottles that are out there. We only have 12 people, so.
I know. So now what?
So we can split up and do it whatever. So I'm gonna just play, if everybody could just pay attention to this video real quick. Then the nurses will split up and, take 4 of you each, or 3 of you, 3 each, and we'll get out of here in terms of the EpiPen as quickly as possible.
I can eat strawberries. Milk doesn't like me. Mommy says I got an allergy. I get all red and bumpy. My eyes get puffy like this. I don't breathe so good. My tongue gets itchy. It made me really scared. This is my EpiPen. My EpiPen. Take it out of the case and pop off the cap. Make a fist like this. Like this. Kids make me sit on laps. Bigger kids sit or lie down. Here's a spot, just hold my leg still. Press, click, and hold. Be sure to hear the click. Hold it there for 10 seconds. That's 10 seconds. Always have an extra EpiPen ready because the medicine can wear off. Then call 911. Easy, white.
Today, doctors are seeing more and more children with allergies, especially food allergies. In a room of 20 kids, 1 or more of them will have allergies. While most allergic reactions result in merely uncomfortable symptoms, some anaphylactic reactions may be more serious and even life-threatening. About 150 children and young adults die from food allergies every year in the United States. Due to the unpredictable nature of allergic reactions, over 2.4 million epinephrine autoinjectors, such as this, are currently being prescribed. EpiPens deliver medicine quickly and effectively, but they only work if there is somebody around who knows where the pen is, when to use it, how to use it, and will actually do it. Times when you need to use an EpiPen can be stressful and may even be life-threatening. So it is important to have a plan of action so you can calmly react to the situation. Knowing when to use an EpiPen can be easy. If a child eats something they're allergic to, has hives, and is wheezing, give the shot. Sometimes, however, symptoms may not be as obvious. So if you are in doubt, always give the shot. You may not even have known what the child has eaten. But if you do suspect an allergic reaction, or a child is demonstrating 2 or more symptoms, don't wait. The longer you wait to administer an EpiPen, the harder it is to stop an allergic reaction, mild or severe. And allergic reactions can change from mild to fatal quickly. No child has ever died or has had serious problems from a standard dose of epinephrine. To protect the child in your life, be prepared. Memorize these steps and practice them. Review each child's action plan. Know where each child's EpiPen is located. Epi equals 911. If you get it, call it. Take the EpiPen out of its case. Hold it in a firm fist grip. Remove the cap. Make sure the child is sitting or lying down. Identify the big muscle in the thigh. Hold the leg and the child steadily. Press the orange part firmly against the thigh so that it clicks. Stay there. Don't bounce. Hold for 10 seconds. Press, click, and hold. Some of you may have an epinephrine injector that looks like this. This training device has yellow caps, but yours may have a different color. This has the same medicine as the EpiPen, the same kind of spring-loaded needle, and is used for exactly the same reasons. This injector has 2 safety caps. Hold the injector in a fist grip. Don't put your thumb on either end. Remove both safety caps. The red end is the action end. That's where the needle comes out. Remember, red to the leg. The red end should not touch anything else. Again, make sure the child is sitting or lying down and hold for 10 seconds. For this device, the needle will remain exposed after use. please put it down carefully or put it back in the case. And if you haven't done so already, call 911. As with any emergency medication or device, please be familiar with it before you need to use it.
This trainer contains no needle or drug and is for training purposes only. Do not use this trainer during an allergic emergency. Place black end against outer thigh, then push firmly until you hear a click and hiss sound. 2, 1. Training complete.
A good trainer.
No, that's a bad trainer, should be 5.
If having an allergic emergency, pull red safety guard down.
Okey-doke. So we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we have what?
2 each?
Yeah, so you guys just wanna, just a couple of you go to each nurse. They're just going to have you sign something. To be honest with you, this is gonna be much shorter than we typically. We don't have very many people here. Many of my coaches here have been here multiple times. I only have a handful or a couple of you that are newer coaches. The couple things that I want to bring to your attention is that for the head coaches, you all have been sent an email from Kim Mann. You have a username and password for LeagueMinder, which is the new program that the section is using. Last year it was our school. The year before 5 centuries, it was the antiquated sports back. It is now LeagueMinder. So I had Kim put in every coach in the district. You guys all have a username, you all have a password. That's how you'll get access to the officials and all that kind of stuff, right? So if you have a problem accessing that, you need to email Kim immediately, right? In most instances, it's just the head coaches that deal with that at the high school, but every coach in the district has been put in there. The other piece is, ironically, we're talking about this now, but we had not, as a district, ever had emergency action plans for extracurricular activities. We now have those. So we worked on the committee last year. They're in your handbook. Okay, so there's 101 pages in that thing. But if you're going to look at anything, anything you can dream of thinking of asking me, before you ask me, you can look in there and probably find it. But make sure you take a look at the emergency action plan for the building that you coach in. All 6 buildings have one. They are board approved plans, okay? So they are the real deal. We are now a huddle school district. So for the guys who coach at varsity, where you used to have to purchase Huddle Assist, you no longer have to do that. So every coach, every sport now has the option, right, to have Huddle Assist. All right, so you can upload your videos. I use it for my son for his travel team. I can go in there and I can say, he's a defenseman, I can say, give me how many shots are taken from the left dot, blue line, from number 22, and it just snips for the entire game, so it's awesome. All right, so if you haven't used it, take advantage of that. The other thing is, please make sure, many of our coaches also supervise, make sure you're up to speed with the supervisor responsibilities, also in a handbook, pages 18 to 21. And more importantly, and I say this because the landscape is crazier than it's ever been, is that the security protocols for coaches. In the event that you feel like you're being threatened by a spectator or a parent or whomever, there's a process by which you need to follow so that it's brought to my attention, building level administrative team's attention, so we can jump on it immediately and make sure that we address it and investigate thoroughly. And if we need to ban spectators, you guys know I ban spectators all the time. So those are the three things really I want you to focus on. For the middle schools, if you're coaching middle school, that window's open for rank 1 next week. The high school window will open. Please make sure you have your interest meetings, you put in your rosters, so that the nurses can go in and clear the kids. If you don't do that, then the kids aren't going to be cleared, and then you're going to have problems come tryout time. You're going to get an email from me. You already have. If you haven't seen it yet, it's basically, it'll have the virtual handbook. All right, we no longer print them. If anybody needs an agenda, my apologies, agendas are here. And you'll have to sign the acknowledgement form that you got that. All right. I will tell you that, again, please make sure you familiarize yourself with that document. There have been coaches who have placed themselves in positions where they should have done certain things. They claim they didn't know, yet they also claim that they read the handbook and it's on page whatever it is on the handbook, right? And we discussed it at this meeting. So just familiarize yourself. If you don't think you have an answer for something, call the coordinator, call me, text me, whatever. Don't make a decision blindly. Don't make it in a vacuum. All right, just you got plenty of support. Just make sure you're following whatever our practices are. Okay, I can't reiterate enough. If you're a head coach, regardless of level, and you're meeting with parents about kids, it's almost always about what? Playing time. And you're doing that without the kid there. You're on your own. Because if you have a problem, the first question I'm going to say is, well, was the kid there? And if you say no, I'm going to be like, well, you brought that on yourself. Okay? We're obligated to speak to parents. Right? They're also obligated to do it on our terms. So I'll be glad to meet with a parent, but the kid's going to be there. Because what the kid goes home and says to the parent versus what actually is happening are two totally different things in many instances. That is put in place to protect you, right? Okay, it'll go down as one of the best decisions I ever made as an administrator. Please make sure you do that. For those, everyone here has gone through cuts in the district, right? Well, you won't have to deal with it, but we don't put lists up. Okay, we either meet with kids one-on-one, or we have a standard letter that each kid gets, and Mallory will talk you through that. But we do not do that here. They give us 3 days of sweat equity. We give them 3 minutes of our time. You guys already took care of DASA, but I also want to reiterate that the law has changed, and Eric Gomez has done a really good job of expressing that in his travels. Like, intent is no longer a defense mechanism. So what that means is we can no longer say, any of us, that, well, that's not what I meant. Right? If you say it, that's it. There's no gray area anymore. You said it, you're guilty of it, and then whatever the consequences are, they are. That's a state law, that's not a Belmar Merrick thing, but that's a significant difference. All right? So please be careful about what you're saying. Please be careful about what you're discussing amongst your colleagues. If there are kids around, okay? Every season, every year, I'm dealing with things that I just want to the last month in Belmar Merrick has been unlike any month probably since my first year as an AD. It's been crazy. I could write a book. A lot of it is human error. Okay, so please make sure you think before you speak. You think before you take action. If you have any questions, again, reach out to me, reach out to your coordinator. Because once you make some decisions, there's no going back. Okay? Same thing with parent meetings. I can't believe I continue to say this every year in year 9. Every season. They're not optional. You're supposed to have them. You're supposed to take attendance. All right? We talk about the Belmar Merrick roadmap. Anytime we have problems, it's because someone goes rogue, tries to take a shortcut, and then finds himself in a situation. Right? I'm not saying that our way is 100% right, but in most instances, if you follow this pathway, you're going to limit the number of issues that you have. I think it's worked. We're in a spot where I rarely get phone calls about kids making teams. That's a tribute to how you guys are conducting tryouts. It's a tribute to process we have in place, but I can count on, one hand last year how many phone calls I had about cuts, right? So we're doing something right. If all they're doing is crushing me about, the fact that they thought Mepham had a night game and no other school was allowed to have a night game, I look at it like I'm doing something right? So they have nothing else better to do than to complain about windscreens and night games, then I can live with that, all right? Our uniforms are becoming an issue. Like I said this in the fall, I'm saying it now, I'll say it again in the spring. I challenge anybody to come to me and tell me where teams get uniforms every 3 years. It doesn't happen. We do it here, but that comes with a responsibility. You have to collect your uniforms. You have to have a process to inventory your uniforms. You guys who have seasons coming up, if you haven't inventoried your stuff, do it now. It should have been done already, because if you don't have something that didn't come in or is lost, then the chances of you getting it by the start of the season are slim to none. All right, so that comes on you. All right, so make sure you take care of that stuff. Really just you're really like the only real newbie here, but we have a 24-hour rule. We don't talk to parents after a tough loss, as we're walking to the bus or back to the building. That needs to be conveyed in your parent meetings, right? That's really important. Our parents know that now. A lot of times if I do get an email from a parent, it usually starts with, I know you have a 24-hour rule, but I wanted to make sure that I gathered my thoughts and brought it to your attention, which I take that as a sign of respect, right? So you shouldn't be dealing with that. That's something that you need to talk to in your parent meeting. When you have your senior days for you varsity guys, right? You got to take everything into consideration. If you're an outdoor sport, which isn't the case in winter, but I always say this, you try not to wait till the last game, because if it rains, now you're screwed, okay? And when you talk about senior games, you have to convey to your parent base that senior games are about celebrating the fact that that kid will no longer wear a Calhoun or Mepham or Kennedy jersey, right? It's not about how much time they play in that game, right? The senior day is the final, right, action or activity that kid may have. They may never play high school sports again, right? But it's really celebrating their time as a high school athlete, not whether they played 1 minute versus 30 minutes in that game, right? So if I get a call about a senior game that way, right, that's the first thing that comes out of my mouth. Conversely, pick and choose your spots. If you're up big, obviously you play everybody. But I explain to parents that may be the determining factor of that team qualifying for the playoffs or not qualifying for the playoffs. So the coach has to, so if I'm going to say that about a coach, then coaches have to make the right decisions, right? So just be mindful of that. I'm not going to, again, take a look at the agenda. A lot of the things are self-explanatory. Your paperwork, going to coaches' meetings for those of you who coach at the high school level. Blackout dates. Like, our coordinator should have already taken care of that, but take a look at your schedule now. If you check it against SAT, ACT days, all those things, check it against whether or not, there's a dance or whatever the case may be on the school calendar, because if we need to adjust that in sports that require officials, we need to do it now, because officials are slim to none right now. Right? I have a Calhoun Kennedy JV soccer game that doesn't have an official today, and it's the second week of October. That's where we're at with officials, so just make sure you're mindful of that. Listen to our trainers. They determine who plays, not us, not me, not you, right? Monitor your social media. Okay, look, we're in a landscape now that is absolutely bonkers. Whether it's, what we're dealing with in terms of the war, whether it's, politics, you've got to be cognizant of what you're putting on your websites, on your social media, your team social media accounts. If you're going to do anything that ties into, a cause, it can't be associated with the district right now, okay? For instance, we're getting a lot of questions about whether, you know, as a district, we should be wearing blue or not wearing blue or supporting, you know, this or supporting that. There are certain aspects of what we're dealing with right now in the country, or the world, where we have to kind of take a step back and remember that we're a public institution, and we got to be mindful of, you know, a decision that we may make, and how that may make other people in our school district, in terms of the demographics of our school district, feel. So like, you'll hear a lot about that as you walk the halls. That's going to be more and more of a conversation. It's a difficult spot to be in, to put it frank, especially in this community. Remember, 8th graders cannot play JV unless there's not cuts. If there are cuts on JV, you cannot have a 8th grader on JV. That's a board policy. I have to remind everybody of that. Listen, we start in like 3.5 weeks. So I'm around. Again, if you haven't inventory your stuff. Please make sure that in that email that I sent today, you click on the coach's handbook acknowledgement form, especially for those of you who haven't coached before in the fall. Those who coached in the fall and attended the meeting don't have to be here today, but those of you who have yet to coach this year have to sign that acknowledgement form. We have an APP meeting for anybody who coaches varsity sports here, or high school sports for middle school kids who are playing at the high school level. That's going to be November 1st in this room at 6:30. It's a mandatory meeting for parents and kids who are going to play up, and coaches have to be there too. There's a Google document, if you're a high school coach, that you have to complete. Parents do not dictate who's playing up at the varsity level or JV level in the event that that's an opportunity for someone, depending on the cut situation. Parents don't dictate that in the middle school. Coaches do, right? So it took me two full seasons last year to get that back in check, right? Parents do not dictate where their children play. We do. So you guys have a role in that if you're a high school coach, and you got to make sure you follow the process. It works. It significantly kind of helped us in that aspect. You know, so if anybody has any questions with that, make sure you give me a call or shoot me a text. Other than that, do we have any questions? Any questions at all? Awesome. I got you out of here in less than an hour, which is what I wanted to do. If you have any questions or anything comes up, shoot me an email, give me a call, send me a text. Good luck. I'll see you guys in the buildings. All right? Thank you, Phil.